Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Following a week-long pause in fighting, the war has resumed in full force after Hamas refused to release additional hostages. Israel allegedly strikes a major weapons cache in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. Iranian proxies continue to target U.S. forces in the region, raising the number of confirmed strikes since October 17th to 74. Israel has entered into the 56th day of war, and while extensive efforts undertaken to try and extend a so-called humanitarian pause for the purpose of securing the release of additional hostages in Hamas captivity, the Islamist Hamas terminated the arrangement, and fighting in the terror-plagued Gaza Strip has resumed.
This morning, after a 7-day hostage release pause, having failed to provide a list of more hostages for release, the Hamas army of terror in the Gaza Strip violated the terms of the agreed framework and launched rocket fire at Israeli communities. At 5:43 a.m., Hamas fired the first rocket from Gaza, and that rocket fire has since intensified, with sirens blaring across southern Israel all morning, including in communities that are still under mandatory evacuation orders, and in those kibbutzim ethnically cleansed by Hamas during its campaign of systematic extermination on October 7th.
The Israeli government spokesman further recounted information from the released hostages, which provided a glimpse into the brutal treatment that the hostages were privy to in Hamas captivity.
As Hamas terminates the hostage release pause, news continues to emerge about its serial and sadistic abuse of Israeli hostages in captivity, both psychological, torture, and physical abuse. We now know from the family of Yagil and Or Yaakov, aged 12 and 16 respectively, that Hamas drugged our children and branded them like cattle with burns from motorcycle exhaust pipes in order to identify them in case they tried to escape. And Mia Shem, aged 21, her family saying her hand injury was operated on by a vet. Hamas treated our people worse than animals, and we will put Hamas down.
While Israel is resolved to eradicate the Islamist Hamas and its terror affiliates in the Gaza Strip, the IDF has nonetheless provided the residents of Gaza, irrespective of their affiliation, designated locations of refuge to avoid unnecessary collateral damage.
The IDF has been sending messages and announcements to the people of Gaza, calling on them to evacuate from specific areas that are being used by Hamas for terrorist activities in the areas of what are, of course, legitimate military targets that will be destroyed in response to the October 7th massacre as Hamas continues to vow another October 7th. The IDF has published an evacuation zone map in Gaza, and we urge uninvolved civilians to evacuate along the designated routes away from the specific areas of Hamas terror activity for their own safety. That interactive map can be found on the IDF website, and the details are by now familiar to the people of the Gaza Strip.
Yesterday evening, following U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's meeting with the Israeli Security Cabinet in Jerusalem, Washington's top diplomat met with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant in Tel Aviv.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here in the middle of the war, a just war, for the future of the Jewish people and for the future of Israel. We appreciate very much your personal commitment to this just war, and we are going to fight Hamas till we prevail, no matter how long it takes. It's a just war, it's a war to win Hamas, the ISIS of Gaza, and it's a war to bring the hostages back home, as long as it takes. Thank you.
This was the 7th day of the humanitarian pause, the 7th day of hostages coming home to their loved ones. And I know that for Israel, for the United States, for a number of other countries around the world who have their citizens being held hostage by Hamas, we want every hostage to come home. And so we look to see if this can continue. Certainly that would be a good thing. It's also allowed much more humanitarian assistance to get in to the Gazans who need it. But it's going to be up to Hamas whether they will continue to do this.
After meeting with Jerusalem's top defense official, Secretary Blinken traveled to Ramallah, where he met with Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas, during the course of which they discussed a range of issues, including the fact that Israel's right to defend itself is consistent with international humanitarian law, as well as continued efforts to secure the release of remaining hostages, protect civilian life during Israel's operations in Gaza, and accelerate humanitarian assistance to civilians in Gaza. Meanwhile, ahead of the Secretary's departure for the UN climate conference, namely COP28 in Dubai, Blinken highlighted during a press availability his resolute expectation that Israel would do everything in its power to avoid unnecessary casualties in its war on terror.
In my meetings today with the Prime Minister and senior Israeli officials, I made clear that before Israel resumes major military operations, it must put in place humanitarian civilian protection plans that minimize further casualties of innocent Palestinians.
It is important to know that while the U.S. State Department keeps echoing its demand for Israel to adhere to international humanitarian law, irrespective of the fact that Israel goes beyond the fundamental principles outlined in the Geneva Convention, including Article 19 and Article 58 of the 1977 Additional Protocol 1, the U.S. Department of Defense, in contrast, is fully aware of the complex conditions of the Gaza battlefield.
I think we've been very clear in all of our engagements that the Secretary's had on a near daily basis with Minister Gallant. He just had another call yesterday with Minister Gallant that IDF operations, that they are precise, that they're targeting Hamas. But let's be very clear, and just to go off the last question, Hamas is a terrorist organization that embeds deeply within civilian infrastructure and uses civilians as a way of shielding their operations. So they are making it incredibly difficult for the IDF, of course, to conduct their own operations. But in all of the Secretary's calls and engagements with the Israelis, we continue to, of course, emphasize that innocent lives, that they are taking into consideration with any military operation, civilian lives and innocent lives.
Meanwhile, unidentified aircraft struck a facility storing precision-guided munitions and unmanned aerial vehicles in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, which is controlled by the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah that is dominated by the Houthi tribe. The precision strike devastated the weapons cache, causing extensive damage. And while Ansar Allah, which insisted that the explosion was not caused by an external force, the Saudi-owned Al-Hadath news network reported this morning that Israel was behind the attack. Meanwhile, in response to TV7's request for comment, the IDF spokesperson's unit did not confirm or deny its alleged involvement, stressing that it does not comment on reports in the foreign media. Separately, to ensure clarity, the United States emphasized that it was not responsible for the strike.
I've seen the reports of an attack within Yemen. I can tell you that it was not a U.S. military that conducted that.
It is important to know that while the United States was not responsible for the strike in Yemen, it's been confirmed that the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah launched a so-called suicide drone in the direction of the USS Carney.
It was an Iranian manufactured drone. I believe that also there's more information that I think CENTCOM did put out on the drone, but it was a drone that we know was headed in the general direction of the Carney and was engaged, and because the commander of the ship obviously felt that it was a threat, and so they did take it down.
Separately in Syria, another Iranian proxy has once again launched a projectile towards a U.S. coalition base, raising the total number of Iranian-directed strikes at U.S. forces since October 17th to 74 attacks.
There was an attack on Tuesday, so that was earlier this week. So that brings the total attacks up to 74 attacks from October 17th until now. We did not see, as you just mentioned, over the period of Thanksgiving and then over the last 2 days, we did not observe any additional attacks on our troops.
The Pentagon once again confirmed that Iran was behind those proxy attacks against U.S. forces stationed in the Middle East.
We have been very clear from the beginning that Iran equips, funds, supports, trains various IRGC militia groups, has supported the Houthis, has supported Hezbollah. So I think what you saw is us directly calling that out in a statement yesterday. We have not shied away from doing that. We've certainly done that again when we have taken our own self-defensive strikes within Syria and Iraq. We have said that we know that these are Iranian-used, IRGC-used facilities that fund and support many of these militia groups.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I'd like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our daily updates and would like to help us bear these costs of the accumulating productions, since TV7 Israel is 100% donation-based, please consider making a donation. You can do so by visiting our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you again during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.